Hi everyone, welcome to Colouring with Kay. Thank you for joining me today. So I'm starting off my colouring snippets with the lovely new book from Mel Pamini, Chatsipani Go To. So this is the Dream Voyage book, which Loma kindly sent to me. So I'm just showing you how I am using some gel crayon to add depth on the edges of the page. So initially, I think I showed you the Ohuhu pen to show you that basically I did an alcohol marker base. So because the pages are single-sided, I think it's quite, these are very detailed pages, as you know, if you've seen the book. And so I think, to make a quick background, I thought alcohol marker, and I wanted to use pinks and purples and also sort of greys. So you can see there I've got my polychromos. So I did a bit of gel crayon, by the way, to the bits around the birds and that sort of planet that you can see right in the centre of the screen there. But right now I thought pink goes well with greys. So I wanted like a greyish colour as well. So I've got like a grey blue, I suppose. But yeah, this page was meant to be pinks, purples, and sort of greys and grey colour as well. And my idea was, because I recorded this clip quite a while ago. I've forgotten quite a lot of the things because my memory is not what it used to be. But I thought that the castles and things could be sort of grey blue and then transitioning into pinks near the bottom, and then the water that's coming out of under the buildings, the water that's coming from under the buildings that you can see through those tunnels there at the bottom of the screen. I thought that rather than do the water blue, I decided to do the water pink, to show that rather than the standard blue that we would use, that's, so I decided to not make it realistic. And then the water, really, I kept with a sort of a pinkish, purplish theme. So yeah, I made the water purpley pink. My husband did say he would have preferred it if we kept it blue, but I said I just wanted to do something different. So now I'm using my Castle Arts Harmonius pencils, because there's some really nice shades in there, some gorgeous muted, all sorts of shades that you don't find in your standard coloured pencil sets. So I did use some of those. I used them for the walls around the castle, for this castle that I'm doing right now here. I used some really nice colours. The only thing I'd say is that you do need a fair number of layers just to build up the colours. But this paper is very nice to work on, I have to say. I've not found any paper like it in any other colouring books. It's the paper that you get in Kirby's books and Mel Pamini's, and I really like it for colouring. I think pencils work really nice on this paper. But yeah, I choose about 3, 4 to 5 colours and then just blend. And I wanted there to be a fairly limited palette, not too limited, but like I said, a fairly limited palette. So pinks, purples, deep blues were my main colours, together with sort of grey. So the turrets that I'm doing now, I wanted to use the colours that I used on the centre bit of the other castle. I used on the turrets for the opposing castle, for the castle on the opposite side, and then the central colour used for the castle building I used for the turrets on the other building, if you know what I mean. I hope I'm making sense. I am doing the voiceover for this in an evening, and it's been a bit of a stressful day, so I could be making errors here. But yeah, I hope I'm making a little bit of sense at least. So yeah, I enjoyed using my Harmonius pencils. They were really nice to use on here. Polychromos are generally nice to use on any paper, really. There's very few books I find that polychromos don't work how I want them to work. But yeah. So yeah, just some shading going on there with it. I did post, I think it was a reel of the completed page, and sort of a quick little flip of the Dream Voyage book on Instagram. I'm not sure if you saw that or not. Okay, so now I'm using some more shades from the Harmonius set. So this is for the stairs. I'm using some grey shades, some sort of bluey grey shades as well. But there's such lovely colours in the Harmonius set. I would definitely use them with other sets, you know, to sort of extend the range of colours that you use. So now I'm using some fine liners. So I decided to choose like a peachy and a pink fine liner. And then I do use shading. I do some shading with pencil on top later on. I can't remember if I actually filmed that bit or not. But I wanted the turrets to have two shades of pink, so a light pink and then a darker pink. So I've got a darker pink now, which I'm going to put on some of the turrets because I wanted a little bit of variation. But this definitely, when I was flipping through this book, this was definitely one of my favourite pages. It's the image on the back of the cover, back cover of the book. And I thought it was a gorgeous image. There's no creatures in it that I can see, but just like a scene, and there's like the silhouette of two people there on the bridge, which I think is really sweet. But yeah, more fine liner. This sort of book where you've got a really detailed image, fine liners are great to just whip out and do all the small areas with, and I think it makes your picture pop along with pencil. Rather than if you just use pencil for the entire image. I think fine liners really bring the image out, give you that dark contrast. So now I am showing you another book I'm working in, which is the Townscapes 1 book from Amazon Japan that I purchased. And I'm using the washi tape from New Craft Day. And you can see that I'm adding 2 different widths of washi tape. I wanted this fish to look quite, you know, it is steampunk, so I wanted to add some washi tape, and you can see there carefully I am using a craft knife to take off the extra bit that's over the image. But yeah, I do like using washi tape in my books as well. So I thought this was an ideal opportunity to use this resource that New Craft Day kindly sent to me. So if you look closely, you can also see some like pencil crack marks from near the fish. So I thought that would look quite nice. I wanted to give like a cracked look. So I used my polychromos for that. I'm adding a thicker, like one that looks like a postage stamp reel. Across the top there, and because these have got similar shades to the background that I did in Distress, I did that in Distress inks. I think I used Distress Oxide, which I believe blend better from experience than the original Distress inks. I think the Distress Oxide remain wet for longer. I am now adding something I purchased, I think, from the AliExpress. It's one of those washi tape sticker books. And there's me taking the excess off. And then once I'd done that, I didn't want to just leave it there because I didn't want the stickers to look like they've just been added on. I wanted them to sort of gel with the page. So I made a mistake here because I used VersaFine Onyx Black, and I really should have tried to find if I've got a brown ink, and I should have used brown rather than black, because black looked a bit too in your face and stark, you know, it looked too bold, I suppose. But I sort of got over that then, because what I did is I think I used some more gel crayon in the colours that I used for the background, or maybe I used some distress ink to sort of spread some of that ink or gel crayon back over the ink. And I do it in one place where the ink was a little bit wet, so unfortunately it did smear a little bit, but you can't tell that much. So I think I got away with it. I did sort of a constellation thing there with a stamp set as well. So I was getting quite creative and in my element there on that day. But one thing to note is that when you do use the ink over the washi tape, it does stay wet for a long time. So it's not actually, it finds it difficult to dry. So you can see I'm using gel crayon here again actually to go over some of the bit, and you can see that my idea was to try to fade the stark darkness of the onyx black VersaFine ink that I used. And it didn't really matter too much if the ink smudged that, you know, but I was trying to be a little bit careful because I didn't want it to smudge too much so that you couldn't, you know, that it just ended up as one big blob and one big ink mess. But yeah, it was a good idea to actually start using the gel crayon on top and add a bit more of the gel crayon. So yeah, I used a lot on this background. I did use the oxide inks. I did use water on it. As you can see, there's the distress marks there that you can see, the paler bits. And then I used gel crayon and washi tape as well, and washi stickers. So now I'm even using a little bit of distress crayons rather than just my... In fact, I think I used the distress crayons originally as well, because they're pretty much gel crayons, aren't they? So yeah. And actually, once I finished this, I was quite impressed by my work there. So I was quite satisfied with the background that I produced. So yeah, hopefully you'll see this as a completed page at the end of February. And we'll go on to my next clip, which is basically I had a request asking me to demo use of a fine paintbrush using my metallic paints. So that's what I'm doing here. So this is a Pro Art 3.0 that I'm using. I do have other ones as well, like a 2.0 and a 1. But I think I stuck with the 2.0, the 3.0 for this. So I did purchase these Pro Art brushes from Jackson's Art online. So this is a page in Mythographic Wild Winter, I believe. So I just let the paint sit on the pan for at least 2 minutes so that it can thicken up, and then I mix it. And then, yeah, all I do is just try to keep my hand as steady as possible and just apply. I think you do see me at one point apply it in the wrong place, because generally when I do apply, when I use my fine paintbrush, my head is close to the book so that I can see all the tiny bits closely. And that's why I can see that I'm lifting the page a little bit, because I'm a little bit further away so my head doesn't get in the way and you can't see anything. But yeah, 2.0, 3.0 are very fine brushes, and I highly recommend the Pro Art ones from Jackson's Art, or anywhere else really. They are really, really good. So I highly recommend those. But yeah, this is another little snowflake that I am doing here. And as you can see, you just have to take your time and be patient. And it probably helps if your face is closer to the snowflake, because you can get more of a closer look. So yeah, I just realised that I coloured the wrong bit, but I'll try to correct that later on. Okay, so I'm just going to go on to my next bit, I think, in a bit, which is going to actually be not a sped up video. not a voiceover, but rather I think I'm going to just do a little section where I explain, or I just do a little colour and chat maybe. I don't know. Yeah, possibly. And that'll only be for about 10 minutes because I don't want to go on for too long. So yeah, depends. I might even do a snippet. I don't know. I haven't thought about it. We'll see. So see you in the next clip. Okay, so I decided to do another voiceover, and here I am working on Neena cardstock. It just says Neena cardstock white, 199 GSM, £110. It doesn't really say anything else on the packet, but I got a ream quite a while ago. I think it was quite expensive at that point. It was £30, I think, because it came from America. But I think you can get it cheaper now. But I highly recommend this Neena cardstock for printing out your pictures, because it's really good for blending alcohol markers, and alcohol markers work really nicely on it. So you can see here that I am using my Ohuhu alcohol markers. I don't have the full set. I just have, I think, 120 set and then 2 48s with a mid-tone and a pastel set. So I was just mixing my markers up. I've been looking on Instagram and sort of trying to get better at using alcohol markers and looking at techniques and things, and it's been really interesting. Now, I wasn't really sure what was going on in some of the pictures. I didn't really know what was going on, so I actually coloured this. I thought it was a bed sheet that goes all across the same bed sheet, and it actually isn't, or I at least don't think it is. So I went and asked my husband and said, what do you think this little section that I'm colouring now is? And he says it looks like another like bed sheet draped over in the corner. So I do decide to go over this in the next bit, so that you can see that it's actually a different bed sheet that's draped over that bit. But I was quite pleased with the blend, to be honest. And I find I really enjoy using my alcohol markers on the Neena cardstock as compared to the Amazon paper. Although I have ordered one of the new Cocoa Wire books with the Penguin publisher, so I'm interested to see what that paper is like, because it's apparently meant to be a little bit of better quality. So I'm looking forward to finding out what that is, because I haven't actually tried that Penguin paper out. So here you can see I'm going over with a darker colour, just so that it appears that this is a different bed sheet that's been draped over the original one, which I think it looks quite nice. So in the areas where I think it should be darker, I'm using the darker shade of marker, and then while it's still wet, I'm using a lighter colour to sort of overlap and go over. So yeah, I'm not sure if I've done the lighting bits correctly, but I've been watching Instagram, and that's one of the first things I see the experts do, which is put in the use the yellow marker for the highlight bits. And I've sort of learned, there's different ways I think that you can use the alcohol markers when you're blending with them. So you can start with the darker colour first and then use the lighter colour and blend outwards, or you can use the light colour and then go back with the darker colour. It usually gives me similar results anyway, I've found from experience. But I am a complete novice when it comes to using alcohol markers, and I've only really started using them in the last few months, possibly the last, 3 months or something like that, and I'm really enjoying it as well. Don't get me wrong, I will always love using pencils, but it's just more variety to the mix, isn't it, where you can use different mediums. So I decided to use some different shades of green for the nightwear for these two characters here. So because I didn't want to use too many different colours, so I decided to use some greens, but different shade to the curtains. I'm not sure that I should have done that. Maybe I should have used a different colour altogether, but I don't know. I think I'm going to make the love hearts red on what I'm colouring at the moment, and that will sort of break it up a little bit and not make it so that it's blended into the curtains, you know, so the colour's not too similar. But yeah, I definitely enjoy my marker work, especially on this paper. You have to try it if you haven't already done so. And if you've got a printer, I would definitely recommend it. So I'm using similar green for the jacket on this little mouse. But I think I'm going to do the trousers in a different colour. Just again, might use red for that so that the two characters on the bed are matching. But this picture looked just so fun. So I decided to do some patterns now, because I quite like the cute and cosy trend of using other markers or gel pens or acrylic markers. And here I'm using the Langua gel pen. So I used a colour from the dark set, and then I decided to colour petals in as well. I think I might put white acrylic marker in the centre of the little flowers, and then I was using the blender pen for making squiggly lines on the other bed sheet, but it didn't come out as much. You can't really see it as much, but you can see some squiggly lines. So then I decided to add a pattern with a gel pen that didn't stand out too much. So off camera, actually later on, I do go back and use an acrylic paint marker. I use a light blue, so that's off camera, so you won't see it. But this just wasn't, it didn't look right with a pattern that was very faint compared to the pattern on the Ready Purple bedsheet, which was really, you know, quite noticeable. So I go and do that off camera. So yeah, that's it, guys. Decided to put a little bit of white acrylic marker as stars in the back, and I hopefully see you next time. Hope you enjoyed this little snippets video. Until next time, guys, take care. Bye.